Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'll be talking about the top 15 strongest characters in the Tybw Blow arc. For clarification, the feats I will be using for characters is from the beginning of Bleach up until Yhwach gets killed, meaning the 10-year time skip will not be included, and additional feats from Kenpachi World that isn't applicable in the timeline of the Tybw Blow arc will not be included as well. Before we hop into this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy Bleach content. At number 15, we have Yhwach with Unohana. Now, I already feel like a lot of people would disagree with this placement, considering most of, if not all of her feats are contained in only one fight, but I feel like the statements made in the arc and the character who she fights are good enough to put her on this list. Unohana was known formerly as a notorious criminal in the Soul Society, killing hundreds if not thousands of people, and mastered thousands of sword styles, giving herself the name Yhwach, meaning 8,000 styles. She was then appointed by Yamamoto to join the first Gote 13, which was considered the ultimate variant that has ever existed. Even someone like Yhwach expressing that they were like a bunch of demons. Unohana became the first captain of the 11th division, where she started the Kenpachi lineage, which means to be the strongest Shinigami. Unohana was indeed the first Kenpachi, and the only one out of all the Kenpachis to hold the true meaning of Kenpachi, which is to be the strongest Shinigami. Possibly sometime after a fight with Kikuke, she decided to lead the 11th division and became the captain of the 4th division, most likely because there was no point in fighting until she fought Zaraki again, meaning the Kenpachis that came after her wasn't really true Kenpachis until Unohana was killed by Zaraki. Unohana thinks she is stronger than everybody but awakens Zaraki, and is the only one that could kick Kenpachi into that am state. This statement should apply to characters like Shunsui, who's relative to characters like End of Season Byakuya and End of Season Yoruichi. This statement shouldn't apply to characters like Yamamoto because he's dead obviously, and there's literally statements in the databook that contradict that. Unohana was able to casually body pre-awakened Kenpachi and kill him thousands of times over, and Unohana should be relative to awakened Kenpachi as she's able to damage him, cross blades with him, and contest him. That Kenpachi then goes on to fight Gremmy, who is stated to be the strongest Stern Ritter and has feats and scaling that can put him on the tier of Shikai Yamamoto and even Bankai Yamamoto. But I'll get into that later. When Unohana's Bankai is activated, a dark blood-like liquid emerges and surrounds the area, and her Zanpakuto becomes covered with blood. Contrary to her Shikai, whose acids are used to heal multiple people, when the enemy comes in contact with the liquid, they start to deteriorate down to the skeletal system, from what we understand. Unohana is also a master in Kaido, which is healing arts, and this is seen when she's able to completely heal Hiyori, who's been split in half from the torso, and heal Kenpachi thousands of times over after he died. Unohana is clearly very intelligent and was praised by Aizen, and Unohana is indeed a Kido master and can perform various high-level Kido. Additionally, when Shunsui had a talk with Central 46 and brought up how he wanted to teach Kenpachi the art of killing, Central 46 was very much in disagreement and brought up how if Kenpachi were to become more powerful, nobody would be able to stop him if he was to rise against the Soul Society, which is why they urged Yamamoto to stop training him after only a day. This should be a testament to Unohana's strength, as she is implied to be the only one who can get Kenpachi to that level. At number 14, we have Kisuke Urahara. Kisuke during the FKT arc is able to react to Aizen, who is currently fusing with the Hogyoku, and switches position with a portable Gigai before Aizen even noticed. Later on, Aizen attacks Kisuke, but Kisuke is able to react to this attack while simultaneously implanting seals in Aizen's wrists without him noticing. These seals burn Aizen from the inside with his Oriatsu. Although it doesn't work, Aizen states the fight would have been over if he didn't have the Hogyoku. Aizen states that the only person in the Soul Society whose mind was more brilliant than his own is Kisuke Urahara, and he also states that their power are no longer equal, that implying that they were in comparison before Aizen obtained the Hogyoku. Additionally, Kisuke states Aizen wouldn't touch him without some type of plan. So throughout various feat statements and implications, Kisuke is consistently seen on the level of base Aizen before he got the Hogyoku. In the Tybw Blow arc, Kisuke was chosen as one of the 5 special war threats because of his incalculable tricks. During the fight with Asuka, he's able to casually keep up with Thunder Guy Yoruichi, and while being physically weakened due to poisoning, he's still able to blitz Asuka while in Bankai. Speaking of his Bankai is able to reconstruct anything it touches, which can vary from Kisuke Urahara himself or his surrounding environment. While I do think it's possible for Kisuke Urahara to have gotten stronger in the Kenpachi World novel, I feel like it's okay to mention some of his feats because the feats he shows in the novel are consistent with what he's shown in the past. In the beginning of the novel, Kisuke fights this character named Aura, whose skills was compared to the Kido and Hakudo of Aizen, and Kisuke was stated to be a man of infinite counter plans. Tokinata also states that Kisuke could kill him and Hikone with one spell, so they must be cautious of him. Even going as far as saying meeting Kisuke Urahara in person would be suicidal for the both of them. This Tokinata is stated relative to characters like Yoruichi and Byakuya and Shunsui as well. Next at number 13, we have Roy Lloyd. Roy Lloyd, with his shift to yourself, is able to transform himself into the exact physical appearance of another person. In doing so, he can replicate the memories and personality of this character, allowing him to flawlessly impersonate them. But unlike his brother, he can't copy the power level or ability of the other character. So remember that as I talk about his feats. The reason why I have Roy Lloyd this high is because of his feat shown against Yamamoto. A bloodless Yamamoto pulls up in front of Roy, who is pretending to be Yhwach, and immediately attacks him with his Shikai, with the obvious intent to kill him. But Roy Lloyd is able to react to Yamamoto's attack and block his Shikai sword in flames with only his forearm. Roy brings up the pass, which angers Yamamoto, who swings again, but Roy is still able to react to this attack and dodge it. Roy then draws out his sword and cancels out another one of Shikai Yamamoto's attack. After that happens, Yamamoto activates Bankai. So, like I said before, Roy does not copy the power level of another character, so he was doing all this with his own power and Ryatsu, meaning this easily puts Roy relative to Shikai Yamamoto, and not only that, Roy's Ryatsu was so high that it was able to convince Yamamoto that it was the real Yhwach, because obviously Yamamoto would need to be able to sense the Ryatsu of Roy before he pulled up. He saw Roy as so much of a threat that he would put the risk of the entire Soul Society being destroyed and activate his Bankai, something that even base Aizen wasn't even able to do. Even after Yamamoto activates his Bankai, Roy is still able to react to Yamamoto's attack multiple times, so Roy has more than enough feats to put him where he's at now. At number 12, we have Gremmy. Now, I did just make an entire video thoroughly explaining exactly how strong Gremmy is, so if you want to, you can check that video out. I'll just skim through his feats here. First of all, Gremmy was able to create a meteorite that was going to kill and destroy everything within the Sirte, meaning that attack would have to have enough attack potency to kill or at least damage base Yhwach, who is currently in the Sirte at that time. Not only would Yhwach be above Roy Lloyd, who is relative to Shikai Yamamoto, but he also has feats putting him relative to Bankai Yamamoto as well. Additionally, with the consistent narrative of Gremmy being the strongest narrator, that would more directly put him above Roy Lloyd, who is relative to Shikai Yamamoto, who is above a significant amount of end of series characters. Moving on to number 11, we have Toshiro.
What the hell?
More specifically, Adult Toshiro. This form of Toshiro appears after all of his ice powers fall, meaning Toshiro's Bankai is finally complete. And because his childlike body can't handle the completed version of his Bankai, his body has to age a little bit. The reason why I have Adult Toshiro at number 11 is because of the feats he showed against Gerard. He's able to react to multiple attacks from voicing to Gerard. This will be a faster Gerard than his previous version, and that Gerard was capable of reacting to Kenpachi's attacks on various occasions. Toshiro was able to completely freeze and slice apart Gerard's whole fung. This sword's AP should be significantly higher than Gerard's body, as it's capable of handling attacks from eye patchless Shikai Kenpachi. It's also stated that whenever Toshiro freezes anything, all forms of its matter ceases to function. So, to wrap things up, Adult Toshiro should arguably be relative or above Shikai Kenpachi in speed, and including his hacks, he should be relative to Shikai eye patchless Kenpachi in strength, who is above Gremmy, who is at least relative to Shikai Yamamoto. Number 10, Kenpachi of Zaraki. Now, even in the making of this video, I do find his placing a little bit contentious because I do think he can be even higher on this list, but that would be a very controversial placing, and I don't think a lot of y'all are ready for those arguments. So I'll save them for another day. Kenpachi all throughout the Thousand Year Blood War has consistent feats showing his power level is definitely around the top. To begin, he fights Unohana Yashiro and gets killed and revived thousands of times over, continuously increasing his power until his mental limit on himself is gone, and he could finally reach his true potential. To get a grasp on how strong and awakened Kenpachi is, we have to look at Kid Kenpachi, who is stated to be stronger than Unohana, and so much so to the point that he had to lower his own power levels just to have a fair battle. After defeating Unohana, he obtains the true meaning of Kenpachi, which is to be the strongest Shinigami, which will put him above all the high-tier captains at that point, like Shunsui and Ukitake. He then goes on to fight Gremmy, who is constantly portrayed to be the strongest narrator, even in the novels. So this would at least put him above the likes of Roy Lloyd, who is on the level of Shikai Yamamoto. Kenpachi, while in Shikai, is able to one-shot an attack that has enough attack potency to kill essentially everyone currently residing in the Sirte, logically showing what type of power tier Kenpachi was on. This was even supported by the fact that his sword was stated to have no rival at that point. Kenpachi later on in Thousand Year Blood War fights Gerard Valkyrie and is able to casually slice his body while in base. This is the same Gerard that was capable of casually swatting away Byakuya and handling Toshiro and multiple other captain level characters at that same time. Kenny is also confident that he can slice Gerard into tiny pieces until Toshiro stops him from doing so. Kenpachi on his side notes also said to be the strongest of the Shinigami, clashing with the strongest of the Quincy. And while I do think Gerard was able to clash with Shikai Apache plus Kenpachi, I think the reason for this is because Gerard's sword's AP and durability is a lot higher than the durability and AP of his regular body. And throughout that first fight, Kenpachi was weakened due to being damaged by the Hofeng and literally having a big slice on the stomach. In Bankai, Kenpachi gets significantly stronger and is able to completely outclass Gerard in every sense of the word. Now, I do think he could have defeated Wolsten and Gerard. We can't really make an assertion on that because we don't get to see Kenpachi's full potential. But I ain't gonna hold you. If you want to get a glimpse of how strong this man could be, a one-arm half to death base Kenpachi was able to pierce Gerard's leg, like pierce him to the point where blood was coming out, pick him up and slam him to the ground like it's WWE. If that doesn't tell you how strong he is, bro, you're dumb. You're stupid. I'm playing. At number 9, we have Gerard Valkyrie, who surprisingly is the only original Shustafu we have on the list. The Shustafu are stated to be Yhwach's strongest warriors, with even the Lato stating that the Shustafu are a group of unrivaled men in the Star Rider army. The reason why I have him at number 9 is because of his feats against Kenpachi and his Strength of Miracle. For the most part, why I think he's so strong is because of his durability of his shield and his strength of his sword, which is significantly higher than that of his body alone. Just like any warrior with a sword and a shield, obviously the weapons would be multiple times stronger than that of the body. And that is visually shown in this fight when Kenpachi was capable of casually slicing Gerard's body to the point where he thought he could slice him into pieces. But then when he tried to cut Gerard's head off, Gerard's shield was able to completely block Kenpachi without even a scratch on it, which caused Kenpachi to take off his eye patch and activate his Shikai. Gerard's Hofeng was able to take hits from Shikai Kenpachi and end up only being chipped. To put this into perspective, a weaker version of Shikai Kenpachi was able to one-shot this meteorite casually with an eye patch on. And obviously Gerard would be somewhat relative to Kenpachi in speed. In Wolsten, he's also able to break out of Odo Tosho's ice. Besides his weapon, what really makes Gerard a monster is his Strength of Miracle, which basically lets him revive and get bigger and stronger after dying. If any of his body parts is injured, he comes back bigger and stronger, etc. Number 8, Kenrusai Yamamoto. To begin, Yamamoto pre-1000 Blow arc states the reason why he's been head captain for 1,000 years is because literally no one throughout that said time period has had power stronger than him. Ukitake also states verbatim that Yamamoto has the greatest Zanpakuto of them all, and Aizen, who is one of the most intelligent characters in the verse, also backs this up in their fight. And additionally, databooks also support that Yamamoto has this level of power. In the databook 13 Blades, it stated that Yamamoto, even with one hand, has power that surpasses the rest of the Gotei 13 captains. In Canfurio World, it is explained that a stronger Sunsweet Byakuya and Yoruichi all have relative strength to each other, but Yamamoto is significantly above all of them, further supporting Yamamoto being one of the strongest characters in 1000 Year Blood War. And Yamamoto's Bankai is basically just like he has existence eraser on his sword, he has existence eraser on his body, so you can't touch him, you can't hit him. He can conjure the dead of up to 13 trillion people. He has a long range attack. If you're in the close proximity, you're just gonna get evaporated, bruh. So yeah, he's OP. Yeah. Next at number 7 is Ichibei Hyosube. Ichibei was basically able to stomp base Yhwach throughout the whole fight. This is the same and arguably even a stronger Yhwach that can handle the immense power of Yamamoto's Bankai, scaling him at least relative to Bankai Yamamoto. Squad 0 is stated to be above the Gotei 13 in strength, with Ichibei being the most powerful of the group. Ichibei also says that he's the leader of the Shinigami, and this statement is backed up by the fact that Yhwach states he stands atop of all Shinigami. Ichibei has the ability to cut the concept of names. Anything he cuts name will be cut in half, and it will lose half of its power. For example, if he cuts a hand, it will become a ha. Anything Ichimochi paints over loses its name, thus losing its power. Anything that loses its name is forgotten. With Shinichi, Ichibei can change the name of its target that has been hit with its ink by writing kanji on their body. Whoever's name is changed adopts the concept of said name, such as a black ant. So Ichibei's implications of being the top of Shinigami and his hacks are enough to put him at number 7. Number 6, Orihime. Now, characters from here on forward is essentially on another tier from the rest of the characters. All the other characters 15 through 7 were generally around Yamamoto's tier, but this tier is closer to Soul King Yhwach's tier, which is vastly above. The reason why I have Orihime at number 6 is because of the feat she showed while helping Ichigo fight Soul King and Yhwach. First things first, when Orihime and Ichigo reached the entrance of the throne room and they felt Yhwach's spiritual pressure emanating from it, Ichigo tells Orihime that he is counting on her to act as his defense. During the battle, she is able to react to and block Yhwach's attacks with her abilities, having to travel a longer distance than Yhwach's Ryasu at some points. Some people might argue that Yhwach was holding back, when the only thing we know he was holding back was the use of the Almighty. And even when he states he must always be on guard and uses the Almighty, Orihime is still able to react to a slice from Yhwach. So Orihime has one of the fastest reaction speeds in the verse, and the speed and strength of her Shanshan Rika should put her relative to Yhwach, who is above a majority of the verse, and I'll explain why later. Number 5, Uryu Ishida. For the most part, why I have him at number 5 is because of the narrative implications of his strength, but let's take a look at his feats first. Uryu did become a Shustafu member, and because the Shustafu members are seen as unrivaled men, this should put him above a majority of the Stern Ridders. Uryu was able to box or duel with Ichigo for a bit. Whether or not that Ichigo was going all out is up to y'all to decide. Now these are the main reasons why I have Uryu up here. Uryu was going to become the successor of the Wanderer's army. Obviously, he would need some level of strength in order to become his successor, with Yhwach even stating that he has some type of power that exceeds his own. Uryu at one point in time was hit directly with Finau's Willing, but not only did he survive, he retained his own power. It was the same Yhwach that was capable of absorbing all of these Stern Ridders' powers, including characters like Jugram and Gerard. Ultimately, Uryu's insane potential and his antithesis is enough to put him where he's at on the list. Number 4, Jugram Hashwoth. To begin, Jugram is essentially seen as his Stern Ritter Grandmaster. A Grandmaster is a master in a field whose skills and accomplishments exceed those of other masters, showing how powerful Jugram is in comparison to the rest of the Stern Ritter army. Jugram was completely confident that he could slap a bloodlusted full-bring Bankai Ichigo, and was even persistent to Yhwach that he should purge him. And then when Ichigo tries to attack Yhwach, Jugram was able to casually blitz this Ichigo, and that Ichigo was capable of damaging Yhwach as well. Jugram again is confident that he could slap a much stronger variant of Ichigo, and we know he would not say this if he wasn't able to perform said task. And even Ichigo thought it would be best if him and Uryu tag team an almighty Jugram. Later on in the manga, Jugram was casually slapping Uryu while not even going all out. In the novels, it is explained that Jugram is essentially seen as number 2 in the Wanderer's army. Hashwoth was also given Mask of the Ruler at night while Yhwach slept, meaning he was able to fully exercise his power in Yhwach's stead. The fact that he's able to lead the entire Wanderer's army while Yhwach's asleep just shows how powerful Jugram really is. Additionally, at night, Jugram gains access to the Almighty, which is the same Almighty that has been amplified by the Soul King himself. This gets into the main reason why I have Jugram up here. With the Almighty, Jugram is stated by Kubo to be the strongest enemy in history, possibly putting him above characters like Monster Aizen. Simply just having the Almighty is enough to put Jugram where he's at, as the Almighty gives the user the ultimate sense of precognition. He can essentially see anything that's gonna happen in the future, and any power which he knows will become his ally. Additionally, any power which he sees in the future is not only unable to defeat him, but unable to harm him in any way. So yeah, Jugram is definitely deserving of a top 5 placing in the Thousand-Year Blood War arc. Number 3, Ichigo Kurosaki. Before I even get started, I want y'all to know that I believe Ichigo Kurosaki is the strongest character in the Thousand-Year Blood War arc in terms of AP. But the reason why I don't have him at number 1 is because I believe the top 2 characters are capable of beating him in a fight. So to start off, Zangetsu explains to Ichigo that previously, Ichigo had been using a fragment of his power that Zangetsu wasn't able to suppress, which would at least put this form of Ichigo above Dangai Ichigo, who was essentially a transcendent being that was able to rival and even surpass a Hogyoku Aizen. This is even backed up by Yhwach when he states he regained the elevated power that Ichigo used to defeat Sosuke Aizen. He says this when Ichigo was able to kill Ryo, who in his own right is a transcendent being that is able to passively hold the Bleach universe together. During Ichigo's fight versus Yhwach, dual-wield Ichigo was consistently able to react to and slice apart Ryatsu from Yhwach. And after activating Horn of Salvation and getting significantly stronger, Yhwach calls his power wondrous. And when Ichigo attacks and tries to slice apart Yhwach, Yhwach is visually shown expending a tremendous amount of Ryatsu. As you see, Ryatsu leaves his face after he tries to block Ichigo. And after Ichigo hits Yhwach with a Grand Ray Getsuga Tensho, which was able to completely slice through Yhwach and almost split him in half, it is stated to be an unparalleled brandish. And after this attack, Yhwach states Ichigo's power is truly magnificent. So magnificent that he must always be on guard, meaning he no longer has any room for error. After the fact, Ichigo is consistently seen blocking and dodging attacks from Yhwach, even after getting damaged. And because Ichigo's Bankai was so powerful and seen as fearsome to him, he broke the Bankai in the future. Ichigo, after regaining his Bankai, was able to one-shot a Yhwach that got exponentially stronger due to absorbing not only Ichigo's power, but Jugram's and Gerard's as well. And granted, this Ichigo was fatigued and weakened, and also not at his full power because he still had the Horn of Salvation in him. This feat puts Ichigo significantly above Yhwach in power because not only was he able to slice apart Yhwach, he was able to completely kill him, like dead in a coffin kill, in only one hit, just like how a Stern Ritter could one-shot a fodder Soul Reaper. So ultimately, Ichigo is the strongest character in the Tybw Blow Arc and is rightfully deserving of a top 3 placing. At number 2, we have Aizen Sosuke. I'ma quickly go over his feats because I think most of y'all should agree with this placing. Aizen was named a special war power by Yhwach for his Ryatsu, showing how high his spiritual pressure is. Kisuke states that Aizen got much stronger than when he fought Ichigo while doing absolutely nothing in the Mugen. If you know how strong FKT Aizen is, you know that when he gains the Hogyoku, he transcends all Soul Reapers and Hollows. The main reason why I have Aizen up here is because he was able to tank attacks from Soul King absorbed, Ichigo absorbed, Gerard absorbed, Jugram absorbed, etc. absorbed Yhwach. Aizen was also able to casually slice apart Yhwach's Ryatsu, meaning Aizen should scale relative to the Soul King absorbed, Ichigo absorbed, etc. absorbed Yhwach. Now let me tell you why I have him above Ichigo, because I do think Ichigo is stronger. First of all, his Kyoku Zugetsu. His Kyoku Zugetsu was powerful enough to affect the almighty power of the Almighty. My fault. Anyways, Kyoku Zugetsu was able to create flawless illusions in every single future that Yhwach saw, to the point where Yhwach didn't see a future where he could break out of Kyoku Zugetsu or see the true reality. And also, he has the Hogyoku, right? Which literally grants his desires and also gives him type 3 and type 8 immortality. And he cannot die, and even if he quote-unquote dies, he always come back stronger, sort of like the miracle. So at the number 1 spot, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Yhwach. Man, to be honest, I really shouldn't even have to explain why Yhwach is up here, right? First of all, he absorbed every single Stern Ritter that died and got amped from it, right? So every Stern Ritter that died, their power automatically transferred over to Yhwach, right? He also basically absorbed almost all of the Soul King Rio. He absorbed the left arm, the right arm, the heart, and the body of the Soul King and got significantly stronger from that. He has the Almighty, which basically makes him omnipotent and omniscient. And I've already explained what the Almighty does, but the Almighty allows him to see into the future, multiple futures at that, and change the future. And also, any ability which he sees into the future is basically harmless against him. So yeah, nobody in the Bleach verse is capable of beating Yhwach in a fight. I forgot to mention he's immortal and can rebirth anytime he dies. So yeah, the only weakness he has is the Ashwelin, and even then, more times than not, that's not going to work against him, especially in a 1v1 situation. So with that comes the conclusion to my top 15 strongest Tybw Blood Arc characters. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all disagree, let me know down below in the comments. I try to respond with my arguments as well. Make sure you share this video around and like this video as well. And I'll see y'all next time, man.